I want to build a platform lift in between the two private balconies out back for access up to the roof for fixing shingles, um, replacing shingles, cleaning the roof, um, fixing the oh, whatever those boots are for the vent pipes to vent the plumbing, clean out the vent pipes, clean out the gutters, paint the roof. Several reasons to be up there. Getting up there to replace the screens, which I actually want to replace those screens with not fiberglass, plexiglass, at least on the top. And then on the bottom, I want to build walls. And then the second floor is going to be screened all the way around. And then the back portion of the first floor is going to be screened as well. So that'll keep out a lot of rain. And heck, I may even plexiglass the sides too by the balconies to keep out some rain. And then I'm gonna have to obviously build a hinged portion so that part will open. Plexiglass is gonna make that thing a lot heavier. But this is what I'm thinking so far. This would be a base plate that'd be on the ground, and maybe I'd put, I think I'd put another hole, maybe somewhere there, maybe not quite there. So there would be a base plate. I don't know what it's going to be, 1/4 inch more. I really don't know how much you need. I don't know how big the I-beam is either. I-beam's going to come up, and I was wanting to have like trolleys ride up the I-beam going up, but I don't think that's going to work too well. So what I'm going to have is trolleys on the side that you can't see from the back of the house. It'd be very hard to see these at all, and I may even put a casing over them to where you can't see them, some type of thin metal, aluminum, I don't know, something to not create an eyesore. This would be the I-beam up the side of the house, and then there would be a big chunk of steel that'd be welding it on the back, and then holes drilled out of it so that it could be anchored to the side of the house. I don't know if they make huge Tapcons or even if those things would even work. And then you're going to have to go through wood, so that's going to be a big concern. I'm going to be using Harbor Freight winches that are like 12,000 pound capacity, like $300. They were on sale for $280. I thought about grabbing 2 of them, and not that well. By the time I get around to this, the money I would have saved, I probably would have burned by paying interest on the credit card. So I didn't even bother. I don't need them right now. Pretty far away from this, but there'd be I-beams going up and then an I-beam across, and then you obviously can't do 180 degrees. I think the most you're supposed to do is like 90. So this would be the winch right here, attached at the second floor level where the balcony is, and there'd be 2 of these, be 1 on each side, and I'm already seeing a problem where this is not going to be able to be all the way over there. These up here on the top are going to have to be staggered. They're not going to be able to be right on the edge, so there may even need to be another block coming over, which would be fine. It would just add more strength and rigidity to it. The other is cross bracing, or at least some like little angle triangle braces. I prefer cross bracing. I'm sure that's much more rigid. Uh, but I want it to come all the way down to the ground, so I'm going to have to measure that too. I don't know if one of these is going to be sufficient enough. Because I'd like to be able to have it come all the way down to the ground, load the stuff up, and then take me all the way up to the roof. And I'd also need little pegs to put in so that they can't go below the second floor, in between the balcony. In between the balcony is a little tiny roof, and that's where I want to hide all this when I'm not using it. I'll just have it there, and there'll be the roof will the little cover will have to tilt back or forward, and then allow me access to go up. The platform itself would be flat, obviously, and then I thought, well, I should build a little cage around it, and then if I'm going to build a cage, it should be hinged so that when I'm not using it, the side guards, fencing, all collapses in. So I'd have to have these staggered, and then this front one, I'd want the door to swing out. Or I could even use the door to come down and be a ramp, and then roll it up in there. If this, that's probably a better idea, and then just make this kind of angled. I think I'll do that. That's a great idea. That way I don't have to swing it out, and then the hinge would work. So that would be the first one that folds in. The next one that folds in would be probably this back one, or back one would probably be the last one. No, the back one would probably have to be the next one, because I wouldn't want a lip that I have to, step over. And there's also going to be an anchor point right here with like an eye hook, so that I can attach harness, and I can also attach straps for pressure washer that I bring up here. Even though it's going to be in a cage, I guess it doesn't really matter too much now that there's a cage being built. But I still need that harness. And then this cage part here, I'm going to have to climb over that. I don't know, I have to give this a lot more thought. I haven't given that a whole lot of thought. And then I got to be able to do this without the HOA being all pissy. Like, we're not going to approve that. No, absolutely not. Gotta love HOAs. I'm hoping it's going to cost less than $5,000, and this should add value to the home. For one, I'll be able to save money by not having to rent a lift. I'd like to be able to make another type of lift so that I can paint the house. It's going to have to be mobile. But I ought to do that on the CRX frame, man. That'd be hilarious. Well, I think that's about it for now. I could go upstairs and show more, but I won't. I see a problem right here. Originally, I was going to have these on the side, which I still could do. So if that's on the side, how would that work? Side. That brings it up. That would have to make this fencing on the platform. Fencing, the cage, would have to be more inside, so that it would be able to come up and not be in contact. Not be in contact with these trolleys, and these would be snatch plates. That's another concern of mine, is what the weight capabilities of the snatch plates are. The weight of everything that's going to go on the platform is probably going to be less than 300 pounds, 500 pounds max if I'm going to be bringing up a bunch of shingles. But that's a lot of shingles if I was coming up there. So the platform itself is probably going to weigh quite a bit depending on the width and the length and the height. But I just, yeah, let me pause it again. I am no artiste, so please do not judge me. This is probably going to be 1 inch square tubing, and I don't know, maybe an eighth of an inch thick wall thickness, and they'd be welded up, and then there'd be another piece in the middle, then there'd be a piece going across here, and then a piece connecting to that, and a piece connecting to that, and then maybe these pieces here connecting all those, unless I could figure out another way. I mean, I guess you could run a piece straight there, there. I think this would be less, and then do another, or you could do a complete cross over here, cross over there. I figured it would be a lot stronger if you did 2 smaller X's and then a cross brace there. That's going to be a lot of steel, and then there'd be an 1/8 inch probably steel plate on top of it, and then this would also give me a drill access right there for an eye hook right there in the middle. So yeah, I do want that cross brace right there. You know, I just envisioning this, I've figured out a few problems I would run into, how to correct them. These are going to be lag bolts probably going through the ground. Hopefully the concrete's strong enough. These side braces, or they're not braces, anchors, these plates that are going to be anchored to the house, the wood I'd probably be able to get away with. Those would be lag bolts, lag screws. Whatever these are, where you drill, you pound it in, and you tighten them, and it wedges out in the concrete. I've got a few of those from when I demoed my grandfather's pool, in-ground pool. But I've just I've never engineered anything to this size. The only thing I've done is wood, and you could probably get away with wood on this, but I would much rather use steel because it's not going to rot. It's going to be there for, man, decades. It'd be a huge liability if it was wood. I don't think anybody in this neighborhood's ever going to be seeing anything like this. If anybody out there has done something like this or has suggestions, I would love to hear it, because I know I'm going to be running into some problems, and it would be a lot more cost effective to correct them here with pen and paper than have to tear things apart and redo them and sacrifice things. But this is where I'm at so far. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I've changed directions, because originally I wanted these trolleys on the side, and they would just raise straight up, and you wouldn't have this in the way. The only problem is these trolleys are built for, to be rolling back and forth with the weight pulling straight down. When it's on the side, there's nothing to prevent it from kinking, and then you're going up and grinding this. There's no bearing, I don't believe, to prevent this from. And there's. Well, let me finish that thought first. There's no bearing here to prevent this load from shifting right or left, kicking it out. There aren't two bearings sandwiching it from the bottom part. It's just bearings rolling on the top. You wouldn't need it. And there's nicer ones that have bearings on the side to prevent it from, going back and forth, and it just rides up this fairly nicely. But there's nothing to prevent it from, in this case, it would be going outward. So that would probably be ideal, but I haven't been able to find anything like that yet. I would like to create it, but Again, I don't never engineered anything, so I don't know that I would trust myself in doing something like that. But anyway, all the help that I could receive on this would be greatly appreciated.